Hello, my fellow movie fans, and welcome to another show of Feast of Films Theatre. Today starring Matthew Black and Ethan R. Hill. There, that's the intro.
Oh, yeah. Classic. Classic.
Hello, my fellow movie fans, and welcome to our second part of our two-part special of A Feast of Films Star Wars Episode 4. It's a mouthful, everybody. I am Ethan R. Hill, and with me, as always, is...
Give up that Star Wars Skywalker lightsaber. Let it go. I swear to God, if you dig it up from under the sand, Disney, I will lose my shit.
I thought my name
I'm
was a
Matt Black.
mouthful.
I'm Matt Black. What's up? Let the lightsaber go. Let it go.
Well, I mean, from this point on... No, actually, we have to talk about lightsabers for a little bit in this episode. But otherwise, it's mostly space battles.
Yeah,
and
mainly.
running around.
And sneaking around undercover the enemy base. Behind enemy lines. Get her done. I don't know. It's getting late. I'm getting crazy.
You're always crazy, Matt. You're just using the lateness as an excuse to be your full potential.
No, you're crazy.
I mean, we know that, but...
This is my full potential. It's pretty sad because I'm starting to feel pretty tired. Like, this is my full potential. Like, wow, this is pretty sad. I need to raise the bar here a little bit. So, Star Wars.
You know what they did have to raise in Star Wars? That door that the stormtroopers went through. That's a segue to take us onto the Death Star. So is the Death Star sequence your favorite part of the movie?
No.
What is your favorite part of the movie?
I would say probably, like, if I had to pick a period of time. Okay, obviously, are we removing, like, the dogfight climax? Because I feel like that's possibly a lot of people's
No,
favorite.
I'm saying out of this movie, out of, like, the three chunks that there really is. Because there's really... I mean, there's three main chunks. Which one is your favorite?
Yeah, like, three chunks. Definitely, like, the final bit. Like, I like the space fight. Like, it's so, like, the way they do it and created and captured it is so interesting. And again, it's really well done. And it's obviously the climax of the story and everyone's journey up to that point. Of course, the medal ceremony at the end is just magical. What a great way to end a film.
When you don't know you're going to get more.
Yeah, exactly. She's like, no, but like, no, that's true, right? It's like they left story threads open, but like you also wrapped up the story that's being told. It's a great job. No, like I like the climax. Like the climax is very entertaining. Before that though, I would like second place. I would give like Tatooine, probably the Mos Eisley, like getting to Mos Eisley up to the Death Star. The Death Star part was like, there's a lot of things that are good in it, but it's definitely not my favorite part. I think it's just too much of the same, like visually. You know what I mean? Like, it's a lot of stormtroopers. It's a lot of gray hallways. It's a lot of,
Yeah, but I mean, like, the final battle is just a lot of space.
Yeah, I know
Lots of
that, but
stars.
there's various different things happening. I just
See, and that's what
like,
I
I
love.
don't know. Like, I'm not saying it's terrible.
Well, 'cause
or
I mean, like,
anything.
like
again, we talked about this film like in itself is lightning in a bottle. Like the whole film itself is really, really good. So to say this is my favorite part, like I'm not saying like, no, I'm pretty sure I enjoyed Star Wars Episode 2 more than this part of the film. Like that's not what I'm saying at all.
Not in the
by
slightest.
any means, right? Like I'm just saying like out of the greatness that is Star Wars Episode 4, the Death Star like middle chunk kind of always feels like the longest part. Like it just feels like it sometimes drags a little bit for me. Whereas the rest kind of like feels like there's a lot of motion going on. It's just, I think it's just because you're stuck in that one, everyone's stuck in that one, like is coming together, right? Like everyone's stories now cross paths. Everyone's come together in this one location, which is monstrously huge, the size of a moon, but regardless, all in the same spot. So it kind of like just feels like it slows down a bit, I think.
See, and for me in this watch through, I found I was really, really invested in the Death Star stuff, and then after that, I kind of tuned out, and like I watched the whole thing, but like I found like
Yeah.
after they got away from the Death Star, then I was just kind of like, okay, yeah, they're good. That's all I need.
Oh yeah, obviously,
But,
like, and then obviously you got like the turrets and stuff too, at the end.
But like
They're escaping the Death Star. It's great.
no, I mean like the
Actually,
but
yeah,
everything
you make a
everything
point. I
from
don't know.
like everything from them getting pulled in, I just was entertained. I was just like pulled in to watch the movie, and it was just like I think I sat down my computer, I actually grabbed popcorn and started eating and watching
Yeah.
the movie, and like my favorite the first thing I noticed, like, of course, I love that whole when they decide to go and like split up, they're gonna like, go and do their thing, but like before that, when they're like they lure the people onto the Millennium Falcon and like knock out the first two guys and knock out the other
like
guys.
beat them up. Yeah, take their stuff.
And then, so like at some point, do those people get discovered, or are they still like in the
ship?
Are they like in the ship, like in the smuggler's hold until like Yavin?
But like we didn't have time to like take them out. Like we just had to get on the ship and go.
Because you'd assume they would hide them so that no one would know.
Yeah.
And
Well, that would make sense.
And then that poor unsuspecting Imperial officer who like he's like, hey, TK421, why aren't you at your post? I'm gonna go try and fix that transmitter. He's just doing his job. He's just like, I'm just gonna go fix a thing, and then he gets his head bashed in by a Wookiee.
Just a real shit day at the office, man.
Because
just real not great.
The thing to remember about a lot of the stormtroopers, they're regular people.
Yeah.
They're people who have been bought into the propaganda at this point of like the Empire is your friend. They don't see them as evil. They're not necessarily evil people who have specific ideals. They're just like, yeah, like this is the military. I'm just joining the military because it's what we do. Luke was gonna go to the academy.
I was just gonna say Luke was gonna go to the academy. That wasn't the Rebel Academy, folks.
Even
that was the Imperial Academy.
Han was with the Imperial Army for a little bit.
At one point, yeah.
Like, so this was just a thing. So like all these people who are like getting beat up or killed in the Death Star, like it's kind of tragic when you think about it, because they're not all inherently evil. They're just doing their jobs. And again, that one guy...
Get a better job, man. Guilty by association. That's exactly
guy,
what's happening there.
I just gotta go fix that transmitter. It's fine. Like, it's cool. Like, it's fine. It's... Oh no, now I'm dead. Now I'm...
Like, oh crap. Just neck broken.
Well, you got punched by a Wookiee. That's 100% what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And then Han's flip-flopping of him wanting to go and start a fight and then not starting a fight, and just like man, like everything about that I just love. The prison break is phenomenal. Entire sequence by the time they get down there. I love the weapons malfunction where they're actually acting like if you listen to Luke and Han's dialogue as they're firing weapons at Imperials, it's like, look out, he's coming for you, talking about Chewie going for them. I got him, and they shoot past him and shoot these Imperial officers. And like accidentally shoot all the cameras and everything, and it's just like they put that act on super thick. And it's ridiculous, and I love it. And like you talked about it last week, but Leia's introduction to the group, like we've met her as an audience, but the first thing she says to someone is, aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper? Like, not like, hey, like what are you doing in here? She's not scared of this guy. She's just like, what's going on? What happened out there? I heard everything. What the heck? And then she doesn't like react until he's like, I'm here with... Wait, doesn't he call him Ben Kenobi?
Yeah, I don't know.
And then she calls him
probably.
Ben Kenobi.
She's like, Ben Kenobi, where? Yeah. I don't know.
But she calls him Obi-Wan. So. How does she know that Ben is... I mean, Kenobi
she
probably
just put the Kenobi part together. Yeah.
So that's when she says Ben Kenobi, she's not like confirming like, oh my gosh, I know him too. That's her being like, why are you calling him Ben? That's weird. See, that's a missed opportunity. At some point, like in the prequel trilogy, someone should have called him Ben. There should have been like a reference about him being Ben or something like that, just as like a...
Like, why has he chose that name?
It's like his undercover name. But like the thing is, he can't have it. He can't be Ben Kenobi when Anakin's around. because then Darth Vader would know he's alive.
If Darth Vader checked the census data, I guess for Tatooine, like I don't.
If you're hunting down Jedi, 100% you would check the census data. But that being said, there's someone there named Skywalker.
That's what I'm saying. Also, he still kept the same last name. Like that would throw up some red flags, man. You would at least be like, "I'm gonna go check this shit out," because you know he's alive. Like,
Are Skywalker and Kenobi like the Johnson of the Johnson and Smith of the
just
Star Wars
everybody
universe?
has that name. Everyone except the people in the movies. Everyone else though is definitely a Kenobi.
I want to say George Lucas actually said that was the case. That was the idea, was that Skywalker was just this common name that everyone has.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, George.
I don't know.
Okay, then why didn't you like have a scene where it's like John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt with Skywalker?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm Skywalker. Hey, that's my name too. Okay.
I'm also a Skywalker.
Oh, me too.
Who has time for that? We need one more. We need a scene where it's the exact same as this other scene, but with Jabba the Hutt. I'm gonna throw that in there though.
How many assholes do we got on this thing? Yo-ho.
I gotta watch Spaceballs again. That movie makes me laugh so hard.
It's really good. It's still not, like, to me, because I recently did that. Well, recently being, like, over pandemic, did that Mel Brooks marathon.
Mel Brooks marathon.
And, like, I find his best stuff is still the not quite a parody stuff, when it's more parodying the ideas of things rather than straight up just parodying certain properties.
Yeah.
But that's neither here nor there.
Spaceballs was pretty great though. We're combing the desert. We found shit.
Well,
like,
even like
just with giant combs. And Pizza the Hut ate himself to death.
By the time that we get to like Darth Vader flying, like spinning out of control in his TIE fighter, all I can hear when I see that is like I hear the guys in the head of the Mega Maid screaming.
Oh yeah.
So I just watching this movie, I'm just in my brain, I'm just hearing.
Oh man, yeah, it was such a funny movie. I see your Schwartz is as long as mine.
Let's see how you handle it.
Yeah.
I am your
Rick
father's
Moranis
brother's
is a national
nephew's
treasure.
cousin's.
I can't believe someone punched him in the face a couple weeks ago. That guy should just. Oh man. It should be automatic jail time. You punched Rick Moranis, instant death penalty. Like just too extreme.
Not even a question. Not even a hesitation.
Life in prison for sure. Death penalty, maybe. We'll see how you do.
Oh, no.
How's Rick doing? Anyway.
Well, Ryan Reynolds got him to act in something, so that was cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
In a commercial, then he got punched in the face.
What a life. The guy's living on the edge. Anyway, back to Star Wars.
Back to the Death Star.
Like there's so many little moments that I absolutely love on the Death Star, and it's like, well, you mentioned it last time where like Leia just gets tired of their rescuing and blasts a hole into like the garbage chute.
Yeah, she's like, literally, you guys are the worst at this. I'll just take it from here, boys.
One of my favorite moments, period, is when Han and Chewie decide that they're gonna go and like wreck house. They're gonna like, we're gonna destroy these guys. Oh, yeah. And that's
just chase him.
That's another change I actually really like, is when it's when he runs around the corner instead of just like
and
the
there's
three
like
stormtroopers.
Stormtroopers, yeah.
My only problem with it now is that it's just a bunch of stormtroopers just standing there, and
Not
it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
It's like, couldn't you like add a mess hall or something like that, George?
Like,
Come on.
Just a reason for them to be there.
They're all just standing at attention, but like it's perfectly acted.
Yeah, and now that you bring up like some of the points, it's like, yeah, there's a lot of really good moments in there too.
Well, the whole trash compactor sequence.
Honestly, that's not even my favorite one. I think everything around the trash compactor sequence is the better part. I feel like, not that it's necessarily the weakest, like it's, but I don't know, like for me, it had entertaining value, but like it's just not my favorite part of the sequence. I like when Han Solo and them are like chasing the troopers. I like when Luke and Leia have to swing across the gap. Like,
Obi-Wan sneaking around, shutting
like
down the track.
Obi-Wan being like Obi-Wan Ninja Nobi. You know what I mean? Like he's just like ninjing around. Turns off tractor beam. Those guys come around. He's
Hey,
like,
you know
let's
what's
turn
going
this
on?
back up real quickly here. Take it back. And then obviously like the confrontation between Obi-Wan and Vader too is just such a great moment.
Well, it's
Not like visually impressive, but a great moment.
I honestly, I think maybe I've talked about it before, but like there's that video where people like redid the fight and they
Yeah,
made it
re-edited
epic,
it,
and like
yeah.
I can't stand that. I think it cheapens it more than anything because
Yeah.
no, you don't need that. That's not the fight. That's not what the fight was. That's not what the
No,
fights ever were.
it's the emotion behind it, right? And that's the difference between the original trilogy compared to some of the other ones, right? Um, Whereas like, because combat in film and like action sequences shouldn't be there for the sake of the action sequence, but because like they have like a narrative purpose
It tells a
behind
story.
it, right? Like that they serve the story. Like there's a purpose that action's either pushing the story forward or you like see different different sides of different characters or whatever the reason, right? And when it came to Obi-Wan confronting Darth Vader after everything we'd heard, like this was their first confrontation. Um, no, it was not like they weren't doing flips and all. Like their in episode 3 versus episode 4, one is very visually impressive, but like the one in episode 4 was more about like the moment and the scene and the characters and the story that's trying to tell, and obviously Obi-Wan's sacrifice in the end. Like that was the purpose of that. It wasn't for everyone to be like, "Whoa, whoa, flashy, cool! Like this is crazy." And while at the time it was pretty pretty impressive, the best was yet to come as far as special effects goes in that film.
Well, then during that fight too, I noticed that this time, all the stormtroopers who are guarding the Millennium Falcon
Yeah,
leave it. They all just run over to just watch. They don't even go over to like, hey, maybe we should help
when
Vader.
you, dude, man, like
just-
you've seen this thing on his belt forever. You're like, oh shit, he's actually fighting another guy with one. Let's go check this shit out. I would be over there in like 10 seconds.
Well, like you think one of them would like try and take a shot at Obi-Wan or something.
Nah, man, don't get in Vader's way.
they're
That's
just-
just good sense, man. That's just good sense.
They're just watching though, like, and not one guy. Like, I hate to say it, like I'd be that one guy who'd be like, guys, we're supposed to stay over here. Like, we're not supposed to go over there. Like, he's got this. It's fine.
And they'd be like, shut up, you wuss. Get over here.
I'm just gonna stand here. Hey, someone's coming at me with a blaster. Oh no!
No. But like when it comes to Darth Vader, it's like you just don't interfere with him, because if you interfere with him, he's gonna get pissed off and kill you. If you don't interfere, and he kills Obi-Wan, it's all like he kills the guy. It's all good. No worries. If you don't interfere and that guy kills him, well, he's not gonna kill you. So like the only option really is to do nothing. That's
Like,
the
I guess
best
you're
option
right.
still. That's still the best option. Because Vader's not a person who likes to be interfered with. Like, you just know, like, he's here to do something. Like, can you imagine if a stormtrooper just came up behind Obi-Wan and shot him in the back? You know, and Vader would be, like, super pissed, man. Like,
I was thinking about that even with the opening. It's like, what if there was one rebel who just like happened to survive and he just shot Vader in the
Just
face as
shot
he
Vader.
walked in? Yes,
just
let's
shot
find
him
those
in, like,
plans.
his ventilator. God damn it.
He takes off
Oh,
his
that'd
takes
been
off his
hilarious.
helmet, and it's actually Ewan McGregor. And he's like, Obi-Wan Kenobi taught me that trick because he's my father. What? Crazy.
And everyone's like, who's Obi-Wan Kenobi? What's going on in this movie? I have no idea.
Who is anybody? What's happening? Why did they just kill that villain? Was he the villain? I don't
the
know.
worst start to a movie ever. You know what? I'm gonna make that start to a movie if I make another one at some point.
And then we get a flashback that explains everything, and that's the beginning of episode 3, but it
That's
ends
the
with time
whole
travel.
No, that's the whole movie is the flashback.
There's a lot of movies that start like that, where it's like, how did
And
I
then
get
at the
here?
end-
What happened?
And then at the end, you're just like, psych, it was actually a dream. None of it actually happened. He's actually dead though. That happened.
Who wrote that? J.J. Abrams?
The rest of the stuff that he saw in the flashback, that was just like a death dream. Like he was just dreaming just before he died. The rest of that actually never happened. I'm sure people would love that movie.
Did Obi-Wan turn into a ghost before he got cut in half, or did he turn into a ghost when he was being cut in half?
While he was being cut in half. It was definitely on contact.
And why didn't his clothes
It was
burn?
like insta poof.
That's just another thought I had. But again, lightsaber mechanics have changed so much since episode 4 that it's just I try not to think about it.
Well, too, and you like understand, right? Like you can craft and like bend and twist and make all these weird narrative reasons why this happens or this happens, but ultimately what it comes down to is just
Technology.
practically you're just like, yeah, either the technology wasn't there at the time, the idea wasn't fully flushed out at the time. It's like there's just very obvious practical reasons why things are the way things are, and it's like you just accept them and move on because what are you gonna do? You can't go back and change everything. I mean, you can. I mean, clearly you
My
can.
name isn't
And,
George
like,
Lucas.
I love how we just spent so long talking about that. I'm like, yeah, just go back and change everything. I'm like, okay, never mind. I guess you can. Exactly.
Just say that again. You can't go back in time, or you can't go back and change things. Oh, you just watch me. Just watch. I'll change everything, and I'll make it more faster and more intense.
I'll change it all. Anyway, yeah, no, that's actually pretty funny, but but like in general, like what are you gonna do? Like you can't like you can change some things and add things and add a McCrunchy or whatever the hell in there, but like you can't obviously make Alec Guinness do backflips, or you could. It would just look ridiculous.
McCrunchy,
it would be the funniest thing ever.
McCrunchy sounds like an extra crispy sandwich that McDonald's is gonna release.
McCrunchy.
I'd like to get 2 McCrunchies and a re-release of the original film remastered, please.
2 McCrunchies. The day McDonald's sells movies.
When Disney buys them.
I liked how at the end of the Death Star like sequence though, like obviously like they have to like shoot the TIE fighters down, like that was pretty slick. But one of the things, and it's like I knew it, but like I didn't know it. You know what I mean? Like it's just one of those things. It's like you've seen the movie, so you like have seen that part, but it just I don't know, clicked in a different way. This time around was when Tarkin was like, yeah, did you put the tracker on the ship and stuff like that? Like, yeah, letting them get away was part of like the whole plan. Like it was a big show.
That's why they only sent
them from getting away.
That's why they only sent like 3 TIE fighters, because if they caught them, great. But
I mean, like even still in the Death Star, right? Like they needed them to lead them to the rebel base. It's like maybe the stormtroopers were missing on purpose.
Mm-hmm. Oh, 100%.
They also suck, but maybe. Like, there was just, I don't know, it was just, I don't know, it just hit different this time. Because I was like, oh, yeah, so this has all been, like, a big show. Which would make sense why they survived so many encounters. Like, anyone who runs into, like, a wall of stormtroopers should instantly be dead. Even if they all, like, had terrible aim, one of them is going to hit you with that many troopers, like, there. Like... And they didn't seem to all pursue Han Solo or cut him off somewhere else or like, it just, yeah.
Again,
it's interesting.
Best case scenario, if they could catch them or stop them, they would, but they don't want to kill them because they might have more information. It's any kind of espionage, right? You'd rather take them alive than dead.
Well, yeah, but and I mean, like again, like Leia obviously lied already at that point, so like it's honestly like he said, it's a risky move, but like it obviously paid off.
Honestly,
I mean, it just did because they died, but yeah.
It just made me angry about episode 8 because it's like, they have this new technology that we can track through hyperspace, and I'm like, well, they could do that in the original too. All they need to do is have a tracker in place.
And then they could find you after that.
Well, it's like, wouldn't it be easier to just, hack into like their computer system and like read their coordinates and go like, oh, that's where they're hyper jumping to? Cool, as opposed to this whole convoluted thing about working on this device that can allow you to track through hyperspace.
Did they go into hyperspace after they shot down the TIE fighters, or did they just fly to Yavin?
They went into hyperspace.
Oh, okay.
Because how else would you get there that quickly?
I don't know. Maybe they were like right next door to Yavin, and they were just like, "Oh, sake, we can just float our asses over there."
Why would you need a tracker then?
Dude, I don't know. I was just saying. I'm just hypothesizing.
Don't worry,
It's not an educated one, but it is one.
it'll be a huge part of our debate about episode 4 or episode 8. Episode 4 times 2, which is episode 8. Oh, saved it. It's not even that late
You
for me.
saved nothing.
Then Luke immediately starts putting the moves onto Leia. Like, as soon as they get on, like he kind of starts before he meets her, because he's like, oh, she's pretty. Oh, we need to rescue her. Oh, and then they meet.
They're gonna kill her. She's super hot, Han Solo. Trust me, man. She's a babe.
And she's rich.
Yeah.
But then
You got money, man.
and then they're on the Millennium Falcon, just getting off the Death Star, and like he's all like, oh, this man I've known for 2 whole days. He's really upset.
Yeah.
And she's comforting him, and then just even I love the line that I've quoted probably the most from Star Wars. And I specifically, when I say it, I quote Star Wars, and it's the dumbest line, and no one knows what I'm talking about. I always say I care, but in the same way that like Luke said, like, I care. I always say that to people, and no one knows what I'm talking about. No one has any clue what I'm referencing.
That's because that's like a very vague line.
It's not
Could be
even technically a
anything.
quote, but it's totally a quote. And I just have so much, because like people are like, oh, I don't care. It's like, well, I care.
I care. Honestly, that's so a forgettable line. I can't even remember exactly where that comes in.
It's specifically after Han and Leia have their first fight, where it's like, I'm only in it for the reward. I'm not in it for your little rebellion.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I know
The only thing
now.
he cares
He's
about
like,
is himself.
I care.
I care.
Yeah.
Hey Han, what do you think? What do you think much about her? Whatever. Good. I don't know, kid. You think a girl like her and a guy like me? No. Like,
Just like, I don't like that idea.
he's just having so much fun messing with Luke, and Luke's just like, I'm a horny 19-year-old.
Who wants to bang my sister?
I'm a horny 19-year-old who finally met a girl. What are the odds that she's going to be related to me in any way, shape, or form?
Yeah, across the galaxy, right? Just like, what are the chances? God damn it. The only
Well-
hot girl I meet in this galaxy, and she's my sister? You gotta be freaking kidding me, man. Because all he's been having to deal with is like Tatooine chicks, which, let's be honest, I'm pretty sure their healthcare out there isn't great, especially their dental. It's probably pretty rough.
One of the biggest travesties of the sequels and of the Legends.
And the guys are even worse. I just want to put that out there. The Tatooine men are probably just
Hey, Biggs was pretty
a
suave.
bunch of Wattos, man. Bunch
Hey.
of Wattos just rolling around.
Look at Biggs with his mustache and everything.
Yeah,
But,
but then he
like,
died, so
yeah,
he also
true.
left Tatooine, so that doesn't count.
He also was kind of useless during that fight, but
Yeah, he did nothing. He was a terrible pilot.
like one of the biggest travesties that I think they ever committed in Legends or in the sequels was getting rid of Mara Jade Skywalker.
Hmm.
I'm still salty about that. I'm still very upset about that. You know what? You guys got rid of Jason and Jaina and Anakin, whatever. Okay.
But did they really? Kinda.
They just reshaped them into Rey and
Well,
Kylo.
yeah, they like took different ideas. Oh, but then Rey ended up being a Palpatine, so she wasn't really anything.
But why would you get rid
It was
of Mara
odd.
Jade? Luke could have had a little taste of happiness. And like
Maybe she did exist in between.
No,
Maybe she died
I
in
want
the
to say
temple? I
I
don't
want to
know.
say Legends has her removed completely. Like she's a legend now, and that bugs me because she's such a cool character and such a
Oh
great
yeah,
concept.
yeah, for sure. No, I get what you're saying there. Yeah.
Like why wouldn't you include one of the strongest female characters that's been in Star Wars mythology since Leia? Like
well, bring her like mainstream too, right? Because she's
Yeah.
only been in the books.
100%.
Like not many people know about her.
But she was great.
Yeah.
Sassy redheaded character. Come on.
Yep. And she was a Jedi hunter too.
And then a Jedi. Well, there's layers. There's layers to that character. She's like an
Yeah,
ogre.
there's potential. I feel like it probably would have went somewhere closer to that direction if they would have done episode like 7, 8, 9 when they did the prequels. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like somewhere in between, like not waiting like however many years it was once they're older. But
Do you think they should have just done sequels? As opposed to the prequels, like, do you think George Lucas should have done his
Like
7, 8, or 7, 8, and 9?
maybe. I mean, here's one of the things. Like, it's always hard to say when you're saying like, "Oh, should have done this or should have done that," because you never know exactly what the outcome would be. Like, you're just creating a fictional like universe in your head and comparing it to reality and be like, "This fictional universe is way better." Well, of course it's better. It's fictional. Like,
Well, it
it's
would
not
still
even
be
real. But
basically.
like the idea of it though, like I think sequels would have added more to the Star Wars universe, whereas prequels are always kind of backtracking. Like it did add some really cool elements for sure, but like you already knew where the story was
Mm-hmm.
going, right? Like there was only one set direction where it could all kind of go.
Well, and
It
that's
was
where.
with the prequels, it was kind of like the journey to get there, but episode two like botched that journey hard, so there was no point there. Like that was a whole wasted film, pretty much. Minus like the key moments that they needed to continue to progress. Again, Anakin's fall to the dark side. Episode one I thought is better than most people give it credit for, but three was clearly the best one. But like, think about like, and we got Ewan McGregor from it, so I can't complain on ultimately. But I think it's always better when you're pushing things forward. And Star Wars, I think maybe because the prequels has a hard time letting go of the past and pushing things forward. Like it always wants to go backwards. Like it always wants to hold on to the past and the things that happened before instead of like moving on and creating like new ground. And I think that's where Mandalorian really succeeded, especially in the first season, because it was this character who is disconnected from all the rest of the films and everything else, and it was just him and this child. That was like a
When you look at the original trilogy, it's still moving. It's exactly what you're saying. It's moving forward.
yeah, exactly. Like everything's moving forward, whereas like the sequels we have now, unfortunately, instead of pushing things forward, it just held on to the past. Like
Palpatine.
again, my argument with the lightsaber again, right? Like that's the perfect
Matt, let
like
it go.
no, but it's the perfect imagery of the main problem of that trilogy besides no plan is like they just held on to the past. Like fair enough for Force Awakens, you're trying to get that like, that excitement about the original trilogy, that feeling of Star Wars back again. Bring back that iconic lightsaber. Sure, fair enough. Okay, you did that. Great. Episode 8, it's like you had it for a while. Luke threw it off a cliff. You kept bringing it back, and then eventually it broke in half. And that was kind of like your clear signal to say, we're breaking off away from the past. We're moving forward. Like that was what that whole movie at the end of the day was about, right? It's like Kylo Ren's whole idea was like, kill the past, let it die, move forward. Like that's kind of like, it was like, we're moving forward now. We've talked about the past, we're pushing forward. Then episode 9 was like, no, we're back to the past. Palpatine, lightsabers back, baby. Like,
The problem though,
it didn't
actually,
let go and
but
move forward.
but the problem is episode 8 didn't let go either. They kept
That's what I'm
preaching.
saying.
They kept
It
preaching the
was
message of
it
we gotta
was
let it go. We gotta move forward. And then by the end
yes,
of it,
but that was like yes, that was
Kylo
like by the time
Kylo just
you got
repeated
to
this cycle. You know.
no, but like by the end of 8, that's where he was at though, right? And that's where like they were saying the film trajectory was going. Like 8 obviously had a lot of things where it was still connected to the past, like you had Luke Skywalker there and all the other things. But where they wanted to push that series clearly, and the idea was to push it forward into new uncharted territory. And that's kind of what Colin Trevorrow's episode 9 was. Like it was very, like I said, there were some really strange, weird ideas, but it was all very new. Like a lot of it was very, very new. But then like when JJ came back and they didn't know what they were gonna do, and like Carrie Fisher passed away, it's like they just clinged on to the past and ran back to where
It's a
they were
safe
comfortable,
space.
right? Yeah, so you have the Death Star, you have Endor, the lightsabers back, Palpatine's back, classic Star Destroyers are back. You know what I mean? Like it was just all these different things, but obviously they didn't put together in a package that was very overly appealing or well executed. Like I think we talked about this before. The idea behind Episode 9 and the potential that story would be okay over probably multiple films, but like within one film, it just became rushed, like soggy, sloppy mess. But like, because that's just one of the big issues. Like, but like with George Lucas, if he made the sequels instead of the prequels, I
I
don't think
still
he would be as determined as Disney was to hold on to the past. I think he would try and push things forward more because it wasn't like the time gap wasn't as huge. You know what I mean? Like it's
yeah,
not like it was the 80 whatever whenever episode 6 came out. When was
83.
that? 80
83 to
I was gonna say
99, so about
83,
16
84.
years.
So 16 years compared to 83 to 2005, 15, right? Because that's when Force Awakens came out in 2015. Um, so like the time gap is significantly different. So there wouldn't be, I don't think, the same draw. Um, I think like if everything worked out great, and even if we had the same type of storytelling as the prequels, like not obviously perfect, I think this sequel still would have brought many new things and probably more interesting ideas
I think
than
it
going
still would have.
back and doing the prequels.
I think it still would have suffered from the same quality issues though when it comes to like.
Well, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, and that's what I'm saying. If we got the same storytelling as like the prequels,
But I think I agree with you. It would have also felt less. Everything needs to line up with a specific point. Everything needs to.
like I think it would have just like pushed forward, broke new ground, different characters, different ideas, and it wouldn't be. It would be a lot of things would be unfamiliar to us, right? Whereas in the prequels, it's like you saw those things that are like, oh, I know that, or I know this, or you know, but yeah, I kind of rambled on that a little bit longer than I probably should have. Sorry about that, but yeah, no, I think I just had I had to process that idea.
Hey man, I think it was a great answer, and I liked listening to
Well,
it.
I
So
processed that idea, but yeah, no, I think sequels probably would have turned out a little bit better, or at least been more interesting. But we're in the reality we're in. It is what it is.
there's multiple realities that we could all want to go to. Like there's always those other films that are like, oh, but this one could have existed if they did this thing,
Yeah.
and it's like like,
Ah, shucks.
but that's just life. We just
That is life.
we
Yeah.
just wheel and deal.
Just is. It is what it is. It is what it is. Anyway, what part of the actual Star Wars movie were we at when we started talking about this?
I think I was talking about like Luke's awkward flirting.
Oh yeah. That's right.
He just tries
With his
really
sister.
like it's throughout the rest of the movie. He tries really hard because even then they get to Yavin and he's just like, after him and Han have their little like spat, and then he's like, "Oh, I'm really sad, Leia, about to go on the starship and fight people, but oh man, you should make me feel better. Oh no, it's a good thing you're not my sister. Oh no."
It would have been the best if he would have said that. Good thing we're not related. Like, damn
But
it.
like, it's it's. I'm trying to think of what I have to say about the space battle because that's really the next step. Because I'm not really.
Yeah, like once they escape, like obviously, like the escape from the Death Star was pretty fun. That was a lot of fun.
Oh, that's how we got on that whole tangent. Was the tracking system.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But like that's again there's thought throughout the story as to why things happen the way they do.
Mm-hmm.
Until we get to Yavin and we find that they're just not gonna blow up the planet. Because why would you blow up the planet? I'm sorry, I'm not gonna let that go for a while. I'm actually pretty upset that I thought about that.
You're just like, this is a thing that's bugging me now.
it's gonna bug me forever.
It doesn't bug me at all. I'm like, no, it just seems in track with something they would do.
Well, and again, it adds tension for that third act. It adds a huge.
Well, that's the big key. That's the big key point of tension, right? Like that's exactly
Add a
what it's
ticking
set
clock.
up for.
It's
Kind of like
actually
what I set up like.
it's specifically like a technique that I want to say Hitchcock really was a big fan of. It's showing an audience a clock, showing them a bomb. Be like, hey, this is a
Yeah.
bomb and it's gonna go off.
Yeah.
But when is it gonna go off? And then that's where the tension and the suspense comes from. Is like, okay, well,
Well,
guys, we
specifically
have
if
to-
it's a timer, you only have so long to do it, right? Like it's not even a question of when it's gonna go off. You know it's gonna go off. It's like, can you stop the bomb
before it gets
before
to
it
that
goes
one.
off? Yeah.
Why does it always stop at
Or-
actually? I just got reminded of Galaxy Quest. You've seen Galaxy Quest, right?
It's been a really long time since I've seen
Like
Galaxy Quest.
when they're trying to stop the bomb and they're trying to stop it ahead. They try to stop a bomb and they start stopping it like ahead of time. Like they're trying to stop it and they're like, it's not stopping. We're hitting the button that's gonna cancel it. Why isn't it canceling? And that's because the way the ship is built is based off their TV show, and the way their TV show is, the bomb's always stopped at 1. So the bomb doesn't
Oh.
actually stop until it hits 1.
And they just
Some-
crap their pants.
Yeah,
I can't
it's
remember.
dude, it's brilliant writing. Like that's such a good movie. You need to rewatch Galaxy Quest. It's so good.
Yeah, I haven't seen it forever. It's been a long time.
I'll watch Darkest Hour and then you can watch all these movies I recommend.
Just- Ethan's like, I gotta watch one though.
You
Um,
have to remind me to watch Darkest Hours on my days off, on
It's
Wednesdays
November,
and Thursdays.
bro. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, I gotta
just-
track your days off. Jeez,
Yes, just
man.
please, just even send me a message so I can be like, oh, right, I should watch the
Okay,
thing.
next week I'll send you a message. Darkest Hour, bro. Darkest Hour.
I'm
November's
so
almost up.
sorry. I'm failing you as a friend and as a movie ally.
Yeah, no doubt. Painful.
I'm the worst.
But the whole climax, right, is like the common culmination of like all the tension they've been building. Like we've heard about the Death Star from the opening crawl, and they just drip feed us like the terror and the monstrosity that the Death Star actually is throughout the film, and that tension builds and builds and builds until you get to this point where it's like we know what the Death Star is, we know what it can do, we've seen it now. We didn't just hear about it or read about it. We've seen what it can do. And now the gun is aimed at our heroes, right? Which brings like this ultimate, again, sense of tension. It was just like that whole last third of the film was just masterfully like created and planned out. And George knew what effect he wanted the audience to have when watching that film. Like it was painstakingly planned out and organized and structured so it would give the most amount of tension. And when the Death Star finally goes boom, not on the planet but itself, it's like all that tension is just released in like one moment, right? One glorious, like, yeah. It was just like it's storytelling that really gets me because it's not complicated. Like he didn't make a really complex story with episode 4. It's actually a very like standard kind of hero's journey story. Like there's nothing super overly complicated about it. But like how it was performed, captured, edited, like the editing really helped obviously. But even just how it was written and the whole idea of the story coming together, it was just expertly done. Right. And it had its like complete total impact. Like Force Awakens, obviously, as much as it's compared to episode 4, there's obviously a lot of things that are reminiscent, right? And are obviously like direct comparisons. But Starkiller Base seemed nowhere near as threatening as the Death Star. At all. Like, at all. Whereas episode 4 did a much better job.
Well, it's because
that.
the problem is it all it did for Starkiller Base, and I didn't hate the concept because it makes sense, but all it did is it really relied on the idea that it's a bigger gun.
Yeah.
That was it. And that's how warfare works. You always build the bigger gun in order to escalate that war.
Yeah.
But it didn't have the same tension because at the end of the day, you also, the difference too. This movie also came out in the 70s when, like, it was very common for your heroes to just all die. Like, it was very common in sci-fi to be like, oh, and the corporation will never be defeated.
And
like,
they're dead.
Yeah, like, that was just a thing. So it's like, this film literally could have ended with, like, Yavin 4 blowing up and then credits.
Yeah.
Like, that wouldn't be out of place. That would be very, very common in the 70s. And I kind of
like,
low-key love that. And, like,
even... Go ahead.
Growing up, like, again, when we first saw Star Wars, we knew there was more movies, but we didn't know what each movie entitled or anything like that. So the tension was real. And the tension still is. Even though we know they're gonna blow it up, we're still like, what if they don't this time? You're still holding on
to the edge. Yeah, exactly. That's how we feel about Romeo and Juliet. What if this time it's different? You know what I mean? Like, there's some films where you always, like, episode 3 is always one where I, like, for whatever reason, hope he's just not going to do it. But But then of course he always does it because it's like that's the movie. But it's the same thing as when you're watching those movies. There's that part of you that's like, shit, what if this actually goes sideways for some stupid glitch in the Matrix reason, right? Obviously, it doesn't happen because it's a film. But the biggest key difference that I could find when I was looking at the two was the Death Star was such a pivotal plot point in the whole entire film, right? Like it started with the Death Star plans, and it was all about getting these Death Star plans back to Yavin 4. Like
Yeah.
the Death Star was always a key part. They went into the Death Star, they had to escape it. Like the film centered around a lot of this, not just the idea of the Death Star, but like it was a very central character, right? Whereas Starkiller Base was not like any of that. Like it was only at the very end,
In the
and it
third
was all
act,
about
yeah.
yeah, and the movie wasn't about Starkiller Base. It was about finding Luke, right? Like it was a totally separate just place for the villains to hang out. Like it wasn't the significant threat that the Death Star was or built up to be. Like obviously technically it's a bigger threat cuz it can destroy multiple planets or entire systems, but
I can agree.
like
with
it
that.
wasn't built up through the story the same way.
Yeah, I think I can agree to that.
The text that like though like the special effects like still surprisingly even for like the starfighters like you know what they are like just models and stuff, it's like damn, that shit holds up good. Like it's still very entertaining to watch. You're not like, oh, I'm just watching figurines or
No,
models, you know, like
you feel like you have
you're
the weight
totally
behind the ship.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
actually, that's a technique that, from what I understand, in old space movies, they would take a ship on a string and they would move it past the camera.
Mhm.
Then in Star Trek, they took the ship, they kept it still, and they moved the camera past the ship and
Mhm.
made a more realistic type of movement. And then what Star Wars did to add the intensity to it is they did both. They moved the camera and the ship together.
Yeah.
And that's what caused that extra move. Plus, George Lucas, to his credit, also spliced together any dogfight that you see in Episode 4. He spliced together with old World War II war footage.
Mhm.
And like that's cool too. Like that's like you could. There's actually like films out there you can watch like a shot for shot that he shot for shot ripped off. But like
Yeah.
it works. It works so well.
Well, because that's what you're going for, right? Like if you're gonna do a dogfight, like take it from reality.
Mm-hmm. And like it's, I think that's what makes it translate better. I think that's what makes it hold up. Yeah. Any more thoughts on Star Wars Episode 4, Matt?
Uh, no, other than that ending was pretty solid, man. Like Han Solo shows back up to save the day. That was great. Luke obviously blows up the Death Star, and then the film rapidly comes to its ending too. Like that's an important part when you reach like the climax of a film. Like it's the important part is to like end quickly, and I think we talked about this on another episode as well. Like you don't want to like get the feeling of you're starting another story arc or something
Yeah.
after the film's over. Like if you end it quickly, that feeling and excitement of the climax is still with people. It
Well,
hasn't like
it's-
drawn off. And it depends what movie you're talking about too. Because like Return of the King obviously had like a 20-minute ending. You know what I mean? Like that had like 4 different endings. You're like, oh, it's over. Oh wait, no, it's still on. Okay. Like, god damn
Well, I
it.
think it's specifically look at Episode 4 versus Episode 5. Because
Yeah.
Episode 4, they didn't know they were going to get any more movies. There was no. Actually, you can look at all 3 of them as they all end very differently. Episode 4 ends abruptly because that was the end. There was no more
Yeah.
story to tell.
Well, they didn't need to tell anymore. Yeah.
Episode 5 had a little bit more to it after, like, you know, they rescued Luke, he got his hand fixed and all that kind of stuff. There's a little
Yeah,
bit
but
more,
not that
not
much
a lot.
more. We're still pretty quick. Yeah.
And then Episode 6, they ended it, but then they still had, okay, well, Han knows that Leia and Luke aren't together. We wrapped that up.
Yeah.
And now they're all together celebrating, and Luke's burning Vader, and like, so there was a bit more, and they all just kind of gradually had more to each one.
To the ending. Yeah. But like they all happened really within like what 5 minutes, maybe a little longer for episode
he is also
6. Like it's pretty cool. Like it doesn't take too long to get to the end.
He is also the master. He is also the master of montage endings. Because if you look at the prequels, that's how they all end, is in a montage.
Yeah,
specifically
like
2 and
things.
3.
Yeah.
Yeah. 2 and 3 basically in the exact same way, where it's just like, okay, we've resolved, but let's have a montage of everything that's happening.
And sorry, and 6 wasn't as montagey as it is now. Like
It
didn't
is
used
a
to be
lot
as bad.
montagey now.
Like, now it's like every other planet. Like, let's check out all this stuff. It wasn't as bad when it was Webnub.
No, exactly.
Webnub, you know, what do you think of like the Anakin Force Ghost changing to Hayden Christensen?
It makes no sense.
I guess that's
It
not
makes
even the
no
same movie
sense.
we're talking about, but I was like, why'd you even do that? Again, going back to why'd you do that?
It's like the question of these. That's going to be what we question the next 3 episodes that we do for these. Is like,
Yeah.
it's like, why, George? Why?
Well, that's like, but honestly, that's really the only like downfalls to these films is new shit that he added after the fact. Like the films themselves in their base format, if you ignore the changes to the best of your ability, are still really, really strong pieces of storytelling and entertainment, and obviously started a whole cultural, like added a new
Phenomena.
piece to our well, it's a cultural phenomenon, but it added a whole piece to our culture. Like even the MCU, as impressive as it is, I don't think it'll hold the same place in our culture as Star Wars does. You know what I mean? Like, will we still be talking about Thanos the same way as we talk about Darth Vader 30 years from now?
No,
Like,
I don't think so.
and that's
Very
what I'm
strongly.
saying, right? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, while the MCU is very impressive, but the MCU is one of those things that's like always changing and growing and adding different things, and it's looking for that next rush almost, right? Whereas Star Wars is just like it doesn't get better than the originals, and that has become a piece of our culture, and I think always will be until like society crumbles
No,
and
I
we go to
agree.
the way of the Romans, you know?
And then they'll make their own Star Wars after the society that follows.
Exactly. That'll be a whole new stories, new Star Wars. But yeah, no, like it's just yeah, these films are just so well made and put together, and the stories are tight, and it was again just lightning in a bottle. They put together a lot of elements that probably shouldn't have worked, but they did, and like you just yeah, I don't think they'll ever be captured again. Again, the closest thing we talked about last episode, closest thing to is probably the Mandalorian. Like
Mm-hmm.
as far as having a cultural impact that's from like specifically Star Wars wise, but nothing has yet quite been able to touch those original trilogy films. And
Well, and this
like
film could have
they're a
gone.
reason, they're a reason.
It could have gone bad so quickly. Like it could have gone terribly.
Oh yeah, there's so many. Like if you watch the documentaries, like it did go bad. Like there's a lot of things in the production and the creation of this thing that things just didn't go right. But I don't know. You just persevere through it, right? Kind of just goes to show you never know what you have on your hands till you put it out in the world.
Feels good. Feels good to get back to the good Star Wars.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, like and again, like I didn't mind episode 1 and 3. 2 was like painful as hell, but like I love 4, 5, and 6, and I think majority of Star Wars fans do too.
No, and I agree. So, Matt, I got my question of the day for you, and I think it's a quick one, so we can let you
Okay.
actually get some sleep.
Sounds good.
But if you had to choose between watching the original trilogy on old, kind of not great VHSs,
Uh-huh.
or the prequel trilogy on 4K, what would you pick?
Totally the old movies on VHS.
Like 100%, right?
Like 100%, man. Like just not even a no-brainer. Because like, you know, like the visual special effects and whatever and audio, it's like that's all great to watch a film, but
but a good
ultimately at the end of the
story.
day for me it's story. At the end of the day for
100%.
me it's story. And that like no special effects are gonna, you know, change and adjust that. Like that's kind of why sometimes even when you're watching those special effects heavy movies, It's like sometimes you just get those scenes where it's like I could just watch this for 2 hours, like just this scene, and it's just characters talking. Um, I'm playing this game right now, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I know it's not Star Wars or anything, but like you're playing a Viking, so there's like a lot of fighting, a lot of raiding. There's like attacks on fortresses and stuff. Like it gets
Yeah.
pretty crazy. But I just came across this scene of like two characters talking by a campfire, and I was like, I could watch this for like 4 hours because it was like it is about story. It's about characters and like no special effects, no flashiness, no like the sharpest visuals you've ever seen change what the story is. Like the
100%.
outside stuff can't change the story. The story is a story. So 100%, like honestly, and besides, like what you watch episode 2 in 4K, well, it's still a piece of crap just in 4K. Like you can just see the peanuts now. You know what I'm saying? Like, but yeah, no VHS original trilogy, hands
I'm
down.
I'm the same way, and I've been a proponent of that for years. Like I'd rather watch mediocre quality of a movie that's a really good movie
Yeah,
than a bad
mediocre
movie.
like visual quality.
Yeah, like like someone wants to show me like I'm trying to think of like a worse quality than VHS, and I'm not coming up with any. But like
Yeah,
you want to show me that with like a really good story, I'm still gonna be enthralled. Whereas you show me I mean, that's actually how I watched a lot of movies. Was like when they were like 10 parts broken up on YouTube. Like that's not
Oh,
great
yeah.
quality. Like yeah, like that. Still a good story shone through. But again, like I watched.
and you would have them all unedited either. They'd be
Well, it's like today I watched
classic.
Valerian on Blu-ray,
Mhm.
and like it's an interesting enough looking movie, but like story wise, it wasn't great. So I had
Yeah.
to keep skipping back. I had to keep going back and like, okay, what did I miss? Did I miss something? Okay,
Mhm.
because I kept catching myself zoning out,
Yeah.
and like, yeah, it's flashy and it looks great, but story wise, it didn't connect with me.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
I hear that, man.
So, yeah, let us know down below what you guys would prefer: prequels in 4K, or sequel, or the original trilogy in old VHS quality. I'm curious to hear what people have to say. I hope more people are in the same camp as us, but I want to hear reasons as to why they wouldn't be.
Yeah, and if you love Star Wars, let us know what you love most about Episode 4. What's your favorite part? Obviously, we didn't touch on like every single little detail in this film, but I think we hit on like a lot of the main things.
Again, the biggest thing that stuck with me in this watch through was 100% C3PO screaming as he falls.
That's like your favorite
I still,
part. You're like,
I mean, I can't get it out of my head. It's just, it's haunting me. It's just great. But where can the good people find you, Matt?
You can find me over on Twitter, the Twitter, at Storytellers for L. 4 as in the number, L as in the letter L, in case you didn't know what an L was, but Storytellers for L. Just hang on there, tweet some stuff from time to time, do normal Twitter stuff. But it's a Twitter for my YouTube channel, Storytellers for Life. You can find me on that. It's not quite launched yet, but it's getting ready. It's under construction. Gonna have a really fun time there talking about stories and digging into different storytelling tools and techniques and looking at really inspirational storytellers as well and how they've communicated and told stories. And just work on building a great community. It's gonna be a fun time. So you can find me over there, Storytellers for Life. Come by, subscribe. It's gonna be launching soon enough. Not right away, but pretty soon.
Awesome. People can find me on Instagram at Ethan R. Hill, YouTube at Ethan R. Hill, and you can find my movie Damned Rights for rent or buying online realhouse.org. Just search up Damned Rights and you'll find us.
Cool.
So yeah, so that was Star Wars Episode 4, Matt. You excited for Episode 5 in 4 weeks?
Yep. Well, it's not gonna be 4 weeks. It's like 8 weeks now because we do like double vids.
Oh, right, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Excited for Episode 5 eventually?
Yeah, when we get there, man. I'll probably watch it a couple times in between though.
I mean, this is true. They're
Or
they're
once.
very holiday movies, aren't they?
Yeah. When you got time off, it's nice to just go through the trilogy
Exactly.
in like one day. Just like boom, just get her.
Well, it's an
Go right through it.
it's an easy one. It's at 6 hours.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's not. I did Lord of the Rings last weekend.
Oh my gosh.
That was fun. It was actually really.
I can't
good to
convince my
revisit them.
family to do Lord of the Rings. That's the only problem.
Man, no, it was worth it. It was so worth it. I'm gonna do it again in a heartbeat. So good.
So good. Yeah, so good.
But that's a video for another time.
So good.
Well, with
And for
that, I guess.
God's sakes, let go of that lightsaber. Seriously, like Disney, just move on, man. Make new stuff. You
Matt,
touch that Skywalker lightsaber again, I'm going to like. If they make another Rey movie or Rey TV show, and the first thing she does is goes back and gets that lightsaber, I'm gonna lose it, man. Like just leave it now.
Matt, I think it's
Leave it.
past. I think it's past your bedtime, and I think you're getting cranky. I think
I am just grumpy. Now I'm just a grumpy old man. Man, you don't take that damn lightsaber. Just get off my sand lawn.
It's old man yelling at Ray's lightsaber.
But seriously, why give her a yellow lightsaber for the last 3 minutes of the movie? Like, get out of here.
Well, it's
you
to imply
moron.
that she's an inquisitor, apparently, or something like that. I have no idea what it means.
What? That doesn't even make sense.
I don't know. She's apparently something that has a yellow lightsaber.
It implies that they just want to give her a new lightsaber so they could sell more toys. They
Probably.
didn't feel like giving her a new lightsaber for the whole movie, just for the last 2 minutes, which she would randomly turn on. It doesn't even make sense why she would turn it on. Just like, oh yeah, I want to see my yellow lightsaber against the yellow sand. You can see it real well. Like, get out of here.
No, she's gonna go kill that old lady.
Probably. You ask who I
Someone
am,
saw me.
bitch.
I am your
Snitches
executioner.
get stitches. Snitches get stitches. Or whatever's left after I chop you with my lightsaber.
Exactly.
Let's wrap. See you guys
All
later.
right,
Bye.
everybody. All right, everybody. That
Good
was
night.
the end of our second part to our 2-part Star Wars special. I am Ethan R. Hill, and with me, as always, is a very tired and asleep Matt Black because it is 1:30 in the morning for him, 12:30 for me, so I can still party for a couple more hours. Have a
night,
good
guys.
night, everybody.
Bye-bye.
So long,
Toodaloo.
and may the Force be with you, and may the
Always.
and may the cozy pillows be with Matt as he goes to sleep.
Good night.